Hello and welcome back to the Cascade subdivision. This is another layout update. Just kind of walk into the room here, and hopefully what jumps out is the painted and finished fascia. As I was saying, it's been about a week since the last layout update, but a lot has happened down here. So let's take a look at what I've done. First thing that's pretty obvious from walking into the room is all the fascia is done. I've got it all installed and all painted, and the finishing screws and hardware put in place. I think it looks fantastic and really transforms the room. It's painted it looks kind of like a navy blue, but it's actually a gray, which is hard to tell, but I just didn't want something that was black, and so this works out quite well. The blues and kind of grays play in with the backdrop a little bit, because it does look white, the backdrop, the sky color, but it is actually gray in person. It's just on the camera it looks white. And of course, you know, the blue and the blue-green mountains. So very excited to have this project done, and yeah, it's just a great milestone for the layout. Now it's all the finishing touches and scenery to come. All right, let's take a look at some scenery. Starting here at the south portal of Tunnel 22, I have gone in and done another round of scenery, as well as added about 15 trees, 3 or 4 deciduous, and then the rest conifers. I made those trees last night, the conifers, and it's not my most favorite project in the world, but it helps the layout move forward, I guess. There's many hundreds more to come, so I'm getting a little quicker at it, a little better at it. But as you can kind of see, scenery is encroaching on the Oak Ridge neighborhood. I put in some weeds in the grasses here, and there's a few areas I need to touch up the grass from my first pass. It's just a little too patchy. It looks good when you're looking at layout level, or you know, either sitting on a stool or crouched down, but from above it just, I don't know. I started liking it, and now I'm less enamored with it, so I'll have to do something about that. But putting in the weeds and things help. These are these actually what is that, polyfiber, I think that's what it's called. And just stretch that over the static grass and hit it with some hairspray, and then sprinkle some Scenic Express leaves on top to just represent bramble, which there is a lot of bramble out in Oregon. And so I could probably do quite a bit more, but this is good enough. And then some of the other products there are Martin Wellberg bushes, low bushes in various colors. And that is mainly what I used here on the hillside to create all this vegetation. And it's kind of hard for the camera to pick it all up, in the sense that there's a lot of different textures, a lot of different colors, and so in some ways it is a little bit visually overwhelming, but in person it looks quite nice, I think. And then again, started, or I should say continued to fill in the hillsides there with trees. Right now that hillside has about 25 trees on it, 20 pine trees or conifers, and some deciduous trees. I will probably need another 20 at the least to finish off this area here. And then I just ran out of some of my scenery supplies to finish off the the end of this curve, and so soon this will be done, and I can start working on the back hillside there, which will also probably eat up another 30 to 40, maybe more trees before I even get to Oak Ridge. Very much looking forward to completing this neighborhood scene here. This house is halfway under construction, and which it has been for quite some time. And this other house looks like they just laid the foundation. So more to come in this area, but slowly but surely the vegetation and the trees are growing in, and looking forward to more progress. Turning to Oak Ridge, I also spent quite a bit of time in the yard working on scenery, and you can also see there's a new locomotive there, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But let me just give a nice overview. Mainly worked on the ballast, also ballasted the main line all the way up to the switch down there. Worked on the ballast and the gravel access road, and then just last night worked on putting some grass in. So let me see if I can turn this way. And then also started fitting the wood planks in for the grade crossings. But kind of just got to this front part of the yard, ran out of ballast. I should say ran out of my primary color of ballast, and so the back part of the yard will have to wait, and then there'll also be some buildings and sheds that I'm going to scratch build for the area right behind the helpers there. But some interesting things to point out. I started putting grass in here along the edge, and kind of updated my splotchy method and or my patch method, and I think it looks a little bit better. Still maintains that patchiness, but a little bit more cohesion, so pretty pleased with that. I also there's about 3 or 4 different layers of dirt, and so I talked about it at the video before, but this is kind of the base level right before scenery, and you can see all the different texture and color there. And then I also went in and put another layer of ballast and gravel and dirt in along the road and sanded that down. But in areas where the grass is kind of bare, you can see how the texture of that dirt really comes through in a nice way. So that's why it's important to do many different layers. I also started experimenting with some puddles. These are just basically I sanded a small hole where there was a dip in the road, and then I came in and painted, put a couple washes in, and then put a few layers of gloss to just add a little bit of shine. Obviously these are not filled puddles, but just trying to indicate that it being the Pacific Northwest in the spring, that the rain does occur. I still perfecting the method, but these are pretty good. Pretty pleased with them. I think again, the camera does funny things sometimes with light, but standing in person, they look like puddles on a road. And then again, moving down here, just continue to add more dirt layers and finish the road in here. And I'll need to come in and starting down there, kind of where that bare spot is in the middle of the curve. Rework a lot of the static grass all the way up to the corner here, and I think the scene will look really nice. with scenery all the way down. So that's next for scenery, is bringing vegetation around the corner, working on static grass, and hopefully getting all this filled in. And the last new update on the layout is this new locomotive. This is the new release of the Athearn Genesis GP39-2, and I'm planning on doing a more comprehensive video later today that'll come out sometime later in the week about this locomotive. We'll get it running a little bit and talk about some of the features that I like, some of the sounds that are pretty good, some that are not so good, and kind of what the heck is going on with the paint here. It is a prime for grime, so it is Athearn's attempt to help you get ready to weather it, but unweathered it does look quite unorthodox, and so we'll talk about that. And as someone who will weather it and does weather their equipment, kind of my perspective and opinion on prime for grime and how it works and how it doesn't. So, and finally, I've got this kind of mini train here. These are my future projects here for the spring that I was just going to talk through very briefly. So the first two locomotives, as many of you know, these have been acquired in the past year or so, 2 Christmases in a row, and so these are looking way too brand new, and I will be sending them out to my remote weathering studio where I spend most of my time now, and I will get these weathered and then send them back to the layout, kind of like I did with the Canadian Pacific unit and some of the freight cars, just shipping things to myself back and forth across the country, which is always entertaining and nerve-wracking, but what needs to be done. So these two will be weathered along with the GP39-2, and then that will basically complete the fleet in terms of weathering, besides the Amtrak locomotives, which are I will get to at some point, maybe this summer. But these two will be spring projects. And then I'm also going to weather and maybe do some custom loads for these two Walther's mainline center beams. Should be a pretty quick, easy job with the airbrush and some washes and a little bit of rust detail, but looking forward to getting those weathered. And then this Athearn boxcar here, again, it's in the prime for grime, so going to get that weathered, and not sure if I'm going to keep this one or sell this one yet, but we'll see how it turns out weathering wise. Probably a fair bit of a graffiti to put on it as well. And then really looking forward to updating these wood chip hoppers. They are all still in various stages of weathering. I've had these for 10 plus years now, and they are prototypically accurate in terms of the car type. You do see these on the Cascade sub, but I need to just update the patching and the reporting marks and the numbers, and of course update the weathering. So looking forward to all these projects in the coming months. I hope to video and share as much as I can. Let me know if there's anything specifically of these projects or other projects that you'd be interested in me going over. Obviously, any layout construction things, feel free to let me know what you'd like to see, but I will not be around for quite a little bit, and so probably will not see much from the layout for a couple of months, but appreciate everyone following along this week, especially those on Facebook. Apologize for the bombardment of content, but always excited to share what I've got going on, and I appreciate your patience in obliging me on Facebook. And if you're not a member of the Facebook page or follow the Facebook page, go give that a follow. It's just Union Pacific Cascade Sub in HO scale. Some of the pictures and everything should look familiar, so you should know that it is me. And like always, thanks for joining me here. If you're not following the channel, feel free to subscribe. Always more to come in the future. And leave a comment if you have any questions or any thoughts below. Thanks everybody again. Happy New Year and happy modeling.